This is John Stewart with Hollow Leg, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast. Enjoy.
The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
And we're running. So let's just jump in then. For those not familiar with Hollow Leg, and let me backtrack for a second. One of the things I like doing about the show the most is I get to come across bands that I've not heard of, or things come across my radar that I wasn't familiar with, and Hollow Leg is one of them. So I dig it. It's very sludgy and very doomy. But for those not familiar with you guys, can you give us like the 2-sentence elevator boardroom pitch?
Yeah, I mean, we're basically Sabbath worship, and we've developed from there, to have other styles of each one of the band members like to be as part of the Hollow Leg or as part of the sound.
Okay, fair enough. And you guys are from Florida, right?
That's correct.
What part of Florida? I spent a lot of time in St. Pete, like 12 years.
We are just west of Orlando, and we are also northeast of Orlando. So in a little town called DeLand. That's where that's where our main studio is. It's
up
maybe 20 minutes
or something, right?
Well, no, it's about 20 minutes away from Daytona Beach.
Oh, you're the other way. Okay.
Yeah, it's on the other coast. It's on the East Coast.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
So you Central and East Coast.
You getting crushed in all this weather? Is it really hot down there?
It just started today. Today was the first one. They were like, this weekend, don't do anything outside.
I miss it, though. I'm up in Virginia, Richmond, and it gets warm, but I miss that 24/7 heat. I like it.
Oh, yeah, I was born and raised here, so I enjoy it to a certain extent. But, come the middle of August, I'm like, okay, just give me a cold front.
Right. No, I get it.
Because the cold front brings it down to 85.
Right. No jackets still shorts. So Dust and Echoes, now that it's complete, what's been the response to it so far? At least what people have heard.
It's been very positive, and they are understanding the concept and the direction we were going for. We intentionally wrote these EPs separately. Like we like to write in batches, the guitarist Brent and I, and we're like, let's just write 2 EPs, make them have a singular strand that connects them, but intentionally write them separately. So we're in like 2 different head spaces. I mean, it was 2 completely different sessions. But yeah, the response has been really, really good. I'm glad that people get what we were going for, and it's got some continuity between the 2 EPs to make one full LP.
Okay, well, that was kind of my next question then. How do you think the dual EP structure of Dust and Echoes, with its separate recording sessions and distinct halves, shapes the album's overall narrative and listening experience?
Well, like I said, I think for the experience, I think you get the whole thing as an LP. Or you could piecemeal it A, B, because we're older. We listen to A-side, B-side records, what I mean? And that was the intent. But working with Zeus and our singer, Scott, he is our engineer in the studio. It's his studio, actually. We knew that we were going to do this as one big piece. So we kept some elements so they could tie through. And we told Zeus when we did the first EP, we were like, hey, we're doing a second EP that's going to be, a partner to this one. So when you mix this one and you get the next one, bear that in mind. And I think he did a really good job of making it, pretty continuous.
Okay. The album explores themes of destruction, decay, and transcendence, right, amid like the apocalypse. In what ways do you think the musical styles like doom, grunge, and sludge that you guys live in or inhabit reinforces or contrasts these lyrical themes throughout the record?
I think just coming from where we come from, like that's the kind of stuff that we grew up on, those kind of themes that really, I don't know, all of us are kind of provoked or invoked, the dark side of stuff. For some reason, it tickles our fancy, and it's, we're not pop, we want to have, we want to shed some light on those darker themes. And I think they're more interesting to me, to be honest with you.
Do you, they're very much about like we just said, the apocalyptic stuff, but do you feel that there's some sort of, or you highlighting some sort of hope at the end of this, or is it all doom?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. At the end. So basically this this guy, this character that the storyline's kind of following started with our 2019 release of the Civilizations record. So this is his, like, that was a brutal record of everything's just falling apart. The Earth's gone to shit, and he's checking out. He's leaving the planet, and these two EPs are him returning and rebuilding. And at the end of the second EP, at the end of Echoes, is basically him passing away and getting his last rites read to him. So we're bookending in it. So we're done with this story. This is what we wanted to tell, a story of destruction, hopefully rebuilding in a better fashion. And with, our main character we've been following since 2019, basically passing away at the end of it.
So what does it take then, or what does it mean then for the main character to seek or attain transcendence? And how do you think individuals listening to this might find, I don't know, purpose or wisdom amid all this existential dread we have going on?
Yeah, I'm hoping that, because this was written in 2019, the original storyline, the original thread, I'm hoping that people can understand that, if you can check out, and maybe come back to a situation with a fresh pair of eyes or with a different point of view, maybe you can grow personally and find the inner strength to deal with the crap that's been handed to you. In our character's case, it's been the destruction of the planet. He's coming back and basically, out with the old gods. Let's start something new that's, fresh and will hopefully propagate life again.
So, I mean, fictional and musical or whatever, but also very close to running alongside life here, right? I mean, This is there's a parallel to real life, I think, as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This, we see the darker sides of things, and nowadays there's a lot more dark than there is light. But that's why we wanted to have some levity, towards the end of the second EP, where this, and the whole Dust and Echoes album is really him coming back and rebuilding. There's still screwed up stuff. He's doing what he can. So, like, the fundamental core is we're always going to human. You're not going to get away from that. It's just trying to do it a little bit better than we have been.
Do you feel a sense of responsibility then, or I don't know, something inside you that wants you to give this message to the listener, or is it you just writing for writing?
We want to write an interesting story. If someone can glean some positivity from it and see the moral thread that we're going for, but we don't want to tell people how to live either. This is just our point of view, and this is the way we see this character. Ideally, if somebody listens to it and they realize that there's always going to be crap that happens that we can't control, and things go wrong, and all you can do is stay strong and keep at it. And that could be said for a band too. You got to do the same thing with a band. You got to stay on the grind. You got to stay on it. If you don't, then it's not going to come to you if you don't work.
Do you find that writing this music is therapeutic?
Oh yeah, it's a compulsion. I have to do this, and all the other guys in the band are the same way. We'd be doing this if we were just making tapes at home, or just, doing our own stuff. But we just, we all come from other bands. We've all toured before. We're all, old heads, like we're coming up soon. We've got a tour, we're not afraid to get in the van. We just can't do it for the extensive amount of time we used to be able to because of families and stuff and life. Right.
I mean, but I think you mentioned something that's pretty interesting. Like, I think this gets into your DNA, this sort of heavy music, and it doesn't have to be like the doomy stuff, but heavy music itself, I think, gets into your DNA. Mm-hmm. And then it stays there, right? I mean, I don't think you walk away from it. I don't think you go, I'm done with it. I think it just continues. And I talk to a lot of people who are in, 60s, 70s, still playing music, still doing it, still playing clubs, but doing it because it's part of their DNA. It's kind of why I'm doing this show as well, right? It's part of me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The same thing. I have to create. If I'm not in a project, or if I'm not making music or not doing something creative with the talents that I have, then I feel like I'm wasting my time, and I'm kind of a busybody. I kind of need to be moving around a lot anyways.
Right.
So it's like, might as well be creative and get something out of this. And like I said, you got to put in the work. You don't put in the work, you don't get the results.
Right. But even if you put in the work and get the results, I don't know that, you not you in general, but I don't know you become like this, world famous musician. But I think like if it's from me, my point of view, I do it because I'm just doing it, right? I have to do it.
Oh
And
yeah,
if you catch
absolutely.
on and you love it, that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. If you understand what we're doing or appreciate what we're doing and join along for the ride, that's cool. That's
But
great.
would you do this if nobody was listening? It was just the four of you guys playing.
Oh, absolutely. I've got
Yeah,
tapes of me from whenever I was 16, me
right.
and my buddy Art, the one of the bass players for one of my old bands, Bloodlet. Him and I, 16 years old, we would record drums and bass together, and then we'd go get blitzed in his van and like bring the portable multi-tracker and
Right.
record ambient sounds over that in his van. It was like, we're gonna do this no matter what. And that hasn't stopped since I was 15 or 16. It's been every day basically.
Right. It just gets into you.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, for me, it's a compulsion.
Right. What was the I know we talked about the two EPs, but what was the reason to do two EPs? Did it start as one and then you thought maybe I wasn't done, or was that originally the thought process?
No, the original intent was, like I said, we write in batches. Brent and I, the guitarists, he writes the bulk of the riffs. He'll come to me with the riffs and we'll kind of work out a skeleton of what we want. And then we send it. Sometimes the bass player, Tommy, will get involved and add a little bit of, DNA in there and then play it at rehearsal as like a skeleton. And everyone has their own, it's very much a democracy. I don't like this part, or I like this. Let's extend that. This doesn't jive, but I think we can use this riff in another song. So it's very democratic how we kind of build these songs. But Lynch and I typically, batch out 5 to 6 songs and then we settle. And then another 5 to 6, like Civilizations was like that. We did, I think, the first 4 or 5 songs, and then we demoed those. And after we demoed those, we wrote the next, I think, 3 or 4 songs, and then just went to the studio. We didn't actually demo those. So we wanted to completely demo both EPs, knowing that we want them to match together and to bookend it to be an A and B on an album.
So with these stories, then do they start out as like fiction or short stories and then make their way into the songs? Or are you writing just the lyrics as the storyline goes?
Scott, our singer, and Brent, our guitarist, they both are in control of the lyrics. If I was in control of the lyrics, it would be all Weird Al Yankovic kind of stuff, because I enjoy the dark stuff. But if like I don't have the talent, like our singer Scott is incredibly talented, gifted lyricist. So him and Brent will get together, and sometimes they'll ask me, but mainly I kind of keep my nose out of that because I know where my strengths are, I know where my weaknesses are. But they'll come up with the overarching theme of what they want for the album or the EP. For this case, both EPs, we wanted this common thing, like the single we released. Oh God, I can't even think of the name of the song. Red Skies. Sorry. Mm-hmm. I've got a lot going on today. We released Red Skies, and that's very much about this guy had gone to Mars and, the Martian planet and his whole, exploits on the Martian planet. So like this was intentional. Hence the reason why the song's called Red Skies. So right. Like during their writing process, they came up with these themes of what this guy was doing. We just didn't launch him into space at the end of the Civilizations record,
right? And
hope for the best. We wanted to tell what he was doing while he was out there.
So super thematic and super narrative, but assuming you had no budget, I mean, what are your goals for this? Like, this could be really great as metal theater or something, right?
Mm-hmm. I think so. Yeah, I think there's a really good story being told there. I mean, the budget is what it is. We put our hearts and souls into it. You know what I mean? Right.
But I mean, assuming you had no budget, you could make this I could, listening to it and, reading about it, I could see this being like a real
like a big epic. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. In the right hands with the right creative people. Absolutely. Somebody could take it and run with it.
Is that something you think about while you guys are putting it all together, or does that just sort of...
No, I think all of us are like, hey, we like this. This is cool. Hopefully other people like it. Like we are very, very much simpletons in that regard. We are going to do what we like. We would be terrible in pop bands or anything like that because we really wouldn't listen to producers or anything like that. We're going to do what we're going to do. And I've always done that. And most of the guys in the band have always done that. This is what we do. You either like it or you don't.
Do you ever consider when you're writing that, hey, this is not gonna work for our fan base, or do you just not even care?
Oh yeah, we're definitely cognizant of, hey, this is a little bit of a departure from what they may expect, but I also know bands that have been around forever, they're going to have growth. If not, they get stagnant.
I agree. And I'm going to say something now. I mean, I'm a huge Machine Head fan, and their new record came out a couple weeks ago, and it got panned left and right by people who are saying, hey, it's too experimental, or they've added some more. But I think you can't make Burn My Eyes 2.0 5 years, 6 years, 10 years in a row. You've got to be different, right? As long as the core of Hollow Leg or Machine Head is there, I think you have to explore within those parameters.
Oh, absolutely. And we are very aware in knowing that we are writing Hollow Leg songs. We are not trying to be, an avant-garde jam band all of a sudden,
right.
But like on the Civilizations record, right dab in the middle, there's like an acoustic singing little ditty, but it also was, it was a little bit of a palate cleanser for the entire album. You know what I mean? So like you just been bombarded with like 4 heavy songs that are averaging probably 5.5 to 6 minutes a piece. Here's a little ear candy just to let your ears kind of mellow out for a little bit before we go back into tearing you apart again.
Right. No, that makes sense.
I think there's something to be said for that. I enjoy that in the records that I listen to. So
yeah. Grab your senses, regroup, and then get back into it. I think that makes total sense.
Yeah, you can't have light without dark.
You mentioned you're going to be doing some short runs or whatever. Tell me about the runs and where they're going, but also what's it like? You also mentioned, Family Guy, you're of a certain age. What's it like being back out on the road and cramming into that van and doing it? It's a lot more difficult, right?
Yeah. No, I don't think it's difficult. I mean, I am a psycho. I will get in the van and just go. You know what I mean? If given the time, I will go. I think the guys, the older we get, it does get a little bit more difficult. We're fortunate because through sheer dumb luck, we acquired a RV. Yeah. So we'll actually be kind of comfortable this tour, which will be, we're treading into uncharted waters there. But normally it's, rent a van, a 15 passenger high top and get in there and go. And be crammed, but that's what part of what we do is we want to record, but we also want to perform live. Right. And there's a finite amount of shows you can play in your local town or your local towns within like 4 hours around you. Right. And we come from an era of you get out on the road and you grind. We know it's fun out there. I would play to 10 people, and if 2 people got it, boom. That totally makes sense to me. Like I don't care. I'll grind. I'll keep doing it.
That's interesting. So if you're playing to a festival, because I think you have played some festivals, right? I saw somewhere.
Yeah, we played a Psycho Fest.
Yeah. So if you're playing festivals like Psycho Fest
and Maryland Doom Fest. Sorry.
No, you're fine. And then, you go play a show with 10 people, like you said. Is the show different? Do you prepare differently? Or is a show and whoever's there is there?
No, I remember years ago, I was a roadie with Bloodlet actually, and they were opening up for Neurosis, and we got this weird gig in Corpus Christi, and no one showed up, and they ripped our faces off. They probably put on one of the best shows on that 6-week run that night. So like I took that to heart, and that was like young 19-year-old me watching this happen. Normally maybe somebody else would have pouted and like, no, we're not going to play. We're just going to take our guarantee and go. No, they've ripped. And I was like, this is how you do it. Doesn't matter who's there. You act like you're playing in front of an arena.
And I guess at the end of the day, even if one person's there, he paid his money to see you, so he's got to see the show, right? Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, you don't know what that guy's been through to get there to see, it might be a small venue, might be a small show, but this guy's a super fan. Or, this is maybe he heard about you and you get to experience you for the first time. You should really always put on your best, I think. Right.
So what's next for you guys then? You said you have this tour coming up. Is it running? Can you tell us where it's going? Or
yeah, let me get
the dates, but is it like an East Coast, West Coast?
Yeah, we're kind of jogging in some. Normally we stay more along the coastline, but we are getting into like Louisville. We're getting up into Ohio. So we're going a little bit further west off the eastern seaboard. Still going to make our way back into like, Brooklyn, Connecticut. And then
we're far up.
Yeah. And then we play in Maryland Doom Fest. We're touring with a band called Florist. They're actually from Tampa. Killer band, great dudes. And we play one night at Maryland Doomfest. They play the other night at Maryland Doomfest.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So we'll have a day off to watch the Doomfest, which is awesome because normally, we fly in or we drive in, we rock out, we pack up, and we're on to the next show. And then we hit North Carolina and then we head home. I think it's something like 12 days with 11 shows or 13 days with 12 shows or something like that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm heading up to Death Fest there next week, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So unfortunately, this is the last Maryland Doomfest. I guess they're going to call it quits after this, but that's just going to open other opportunities for us to look at other festivals to be able to jump on.
And maybe, I don't know if it's run by the same people, but they said the Death Fest was done. And then 2 years later, it's back in full effect. So maybe just a break or a walk away for a minute and then head back in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You never know. And you got guys out there like Jamie Josta that are just doing the work, man. That dude's awesome. He's, I think he brought back Milwaukee Metal Fest, and I think he's got his fingers in another festival. I think that's great. He's an incredible dude, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah. So if fans want to find you guys, then can you give us all your socials and all that kind of contact info?
Yeah. We're on the old Instagrams. I got to look that up too. I never look at our own stuff.
It's hard to keep up with everything.
Yeah, I'm not. I stay off of social media, to be honest with you. I've always been that way, though. I like to live my life with the people I have in it and enjoy creating with them. But yeah, at the Hollow Leg Band at Instagram, we're on the Facebook as well. I think it's also Hollow Leg Band. I think we changed all of our stuff. We have a YouTube channel. I think it's Hollow_Leg. But if you just Google Hollow Leg or look it up on YouTube, you'll see our channel. It has all our videos and some live performances.
All right, so we're going to shift gears here for a second, if you don't mind, because I mentioned my team. They like to do a lot of shorts, funny stuff that people dig. Nothing to do with Hollow Leg or metal.
Come on, let's go.
Ridiculous questions. We got like 5 minutes, so I'm going to fire them off. If you don't like them, we can move on.
No, go for it. Let's go.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh. Ooh.
Did you say no?
No, I said ooh.
Oh,
man. No, I'm going to say no.
Why? It has to be. But what's your hang up?
My hang up is 2 parallel pieces of bread with the meat. You've got a V. But then, Subway used to do the V wedge, and it was a sandwich, a Subway sandwich.
Right.
All right, you changed my mind.
So if your hang up is that little thing there, if you cut that, it's a sandwich?
I'm just a sandwich in historical sense to me is bread, something in the middle. So I guess when you turn it, 90 degrees, all of a sudden it changes something for me, and it's connected at the bottom. But no, I think you changed my mind. I will change my mind. I'll pivot on this. Okay, it's a sandwich.
So the podcast is effective then. If nothing else, we don't.
No, you broke me. I hope you're proud of yourself.
Hot dog is a sandwich, right? Is cereal a soup?
Ooh, to me, cereal is a meal. So no.
It has to be. Well, I mean, the definition. I don't have time to Google it, but I'm going to give you my definition, which is skewed, I'm sure. But anything in some kind of liquid, right? Because you could have cold soup. You could have cold soup, but soup typically to me is a warm soup. Don't typically take the cold soups. And I eat cereal like a toddler, like 3 or 4 times a week, because it's just one of those meals I can eat real quick and get out of the house. Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm
a favorite.
The Kashi shredded wheat. Cinnamon shredded wheat. No, that's the only healthy thing I do. I am literally I eat like a raccoon. I'm in the garbage all the time, and I eat that stuff to actually be a little bit more healthy.
Right.
Maybe some fruit. Because if
I gave up cereal a while ago because it's very addicting, especially late at night when you're in the studio or something. But Fruity Pebbles or Cocoa Pebbles was absolutely my go-to.
Yeah. Now I just went to the oat milk with that stuff, and actually it's pretty darn amazing. Tastes good, and it's kind of good for you because it's got fiber. I'm older now, so I got to be looking at
That's
that
what
stuff.
You tell yourself anyway, right?
Yeah, for sure.
What 3 things could you purchase at the grocery store that would make the cashier the most uncomfortable?
Probably a cucumber, some Vaseline, and a condom. I think that would make her cringe. Not that I've done that before.
Right, not that you've done that before. All right, you ready? Are these okay so far?
Sure.
Name 3 ways Superman is super.
3 ways Superman is super. I don't know. There's three ways of Superman super. He's got super cool eyes. Does that count?
I mean, this is your show, so yeah.
I don't know. That's the only thing I can really think of. Getting
All right.
Man of Steel, whatever.
Now we could skip on. Let's see. All right, you're not offended easily, right?
No.
Name 3 places a dog owner might find a turd.
Oh, as a dog owner, in the cat litter box, on the tree in the backyard, not next to it,
On the tree. That's classic.
Acrobatic, and then in one corner of the yard. For some reason, when it's not in those weird oddball places, it's always the same spot.
And then lastly, name 3 places sand gets stuck after a trip to the beach.
Oh, between the toes, in your eyes, under your eyelids. I surfed for about 15 years. And obviously, the Old Faithful, the butt crack.
And then, so I know I said lastly, but so you're stranded on a deserted island. You could take 3 records for eternity, assuming you've got a solar-powered whatever player. What are they?
Probably Angel Dust by Faith No More. Failures, Fantastic Planet. And third one, I would say probably Master of Puppets. As far as I can listen to all those records front to back and just, I'm right. Good.
I'm with you on Master of Puppets. For me, it'd probably be Diary of a Madman. Because that was a record that got me into music totally. That was the gateway. Probably Operation Mindcrime, the first one.
Yep, that's an incredible record.
And then, while I like Master of Puppets, I'm probably going to go something more either Slayer or Overkill. Maybe Overkill, Feel the Fire, the first one.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I grew up with, especially being so close to Tampa here in Central Florida, Death, Deicide, all those bands.
Morbid Angel, all that stuff.
Yeah. We did an interview a couple weeks ago, and it was a top 5 desert album, and Spiritual Healing was my second choice.
Oh yeah.
So I was just trying not to say Spiritual Healing in 2 different interviews.
No, that's good. Thank you, John. I appreciate your time. Hopefully that wasn't too bad. I know we wandered a little bit.
No, that's fine. I would much rather have that. They're more entertaining.
Awesome. Be well. Have a great day, my friend.
All right, take care, boss. Bye.
All right, cheers.